Hello there! The absolute universe of DC has been on a generational run when it comes to delivering unique interpretations of our beloved characters and their rogues. This universe brought us peaks such as Berserk Wonder Woman, Suicidal Twinkified Flash, and Dumby Martian Manhunter. But today's topic will focus on the most popular run so far, Absolute Batman, with the events of the latest issue giving us our first glimpses at Absolute Penguin, the Riddler, and Two-Face. I've pondered an interesting question. How would Absolute Batman's rogues fare as roommates? Stay tuned to find out which of them turn out to be the very best and the very worst. Starting off, we have Black Mask. At first, he doesn't seem like too bad of a roommate. Definitely pays rent on time, very organized I assume, and with him running a global criminal organization, there would be like unlimited networking opportunities. The red flags come in when you think about how he'd most certainly have Diddy parties, so frequently that you could expect to find those party animal masks in the fridge to your bathroom, and liquid DNA slashed all over the place. Alongside that, those masks hack into your devices, so you'll have zero privacy, and the late night goons are gonna be real awkward from now on. And he's almost certain to have his homies guarding the place just because of all the illegal stuff he'll be doing behind closed doors. And speaking of, he will almost certainly try to convince you to join his organization and put on a freaky mask. So I guess that really depends on if you want to be an accomplice to criminal activity, because it would literally be like infinite money, which is quite enticing. That being said, I happen to be a law-abiding citizen who also doesn't like parties or people randomly coming into my house. So I'm gonna have to put him in a humbling D tier. Next up, we have Absolute Riddler. Mr. Nigma, before the latest chapter, would actually probably be like an A-tier roommate because he, as well as most of Batman's friends actually, were pretty cool dudes. Unfortunately, this is the Absolute universe. And in the latest chapter, it was shown that Bane brutally dismantled and tortured Batman's friends like Labubu dolls, and in the case of the Riddler, he had a bite of 87 moment, but instead of it being a bite, it was like the crack of 87. Basically, now his brain is exposed and he questions everything and can never find mental peace. Let's say he's at least sound enough to sell his inventions or use his AI to make money somehow. He'd at least be able to pay rent with that, because the AI will probably have like alarms to tell him when to do that or to do it for him. He would also never come out of his room, which if you want to hang out with him for some reason, could be a problem, but for me, it wouldn't be so bad. I would imagine it would be like a good thing to never see him because he's so frantic now, and every conversation would be him asking a quadrillion questions, and it would be mentally exhausting. So he can, by all means, stay in his room. The biggest problem is his smell. Not only is his brain exposed now, but you know he's spending a maximum of 3 minutes a day taking care of himself, whether it be with the food or bathroom breaks, and he's probably spending all of that time questioning the point of even going to the toilet or showering, so he's probably not even doing it at all. He could very well create a device that transfers his poop or cleans his body while he works, so I don't think he would be too much to worry about, so I'll put him in a B tier. Next up is the Penguin. Bane did my boy Oz the worst. Like, he mutilated him so badly that he is 2 feet shorter? There is no coming back from this. He's literally living like the guy that got turned into a sludge monster from I Have No Mouth But I Must Scream. But enough with his appearance. We know the Penguin in the main universes is a super rich crime boss kind of guy, but I don't really see that being possible here. Bane cooked him up so badly that I think the roommate experience would be you as a personal caretaker for him 24/7. He is definitely going to need you to reach for anything higher than your chest due to his new height, as well as having the worst attitude about it because of how insecure and self-loathing he'll be. I don't imagine you'd want to hang out with him much because, like, what can we do? Talk?
Me not getting the proper love from my entire family made me seek love from niggas. You know what I'm saying?
He used to be a gym bro, but he definitely can't do that now. I don't really like playing cards much, and look at his fingers. Like, it's not impossible to play video games with hands like that, but he'll be so butt that it wouldn't even be fun, and I'd have to give him like pity wins. He most likely can't reach most of his body, so when washing, I'd have to let's just put him in C tier and move on. Two-Face. Like the other friends, Harvey was a cool dude before the Bane incident, and he actually retained most of himself afterwards, I think, compared to the others at least. It's too early to say, but his development can go in two ways, I imagine. The first is that he'll have super split personality, like the main universes where he's just a completely different person half of the time. And then the second option is the Arkham Asylum, a serious house on a serious Earth route where he literally can't function without doing a coin toss, to the point where he coin tosses to see if he can even go to the bathroom. Honestly, whichever it's gonna be, he's almost certainly gonna coin toss to paying rent, and the second he does that, I'ma get tight. Everything is likely to be settled via coin toss, like doing dishes, buying food, doing laundry, locking the door to the house. I can't deal with that. Plus, he's literally going to be a raging maniac for half of the time whenever his other side kicks in. So I'm definitely gonna say D tier. Next up is Killer Croc. My boy Waylon Jones was turned into a Dark Souls boss, and unfortunately seems to have the same affliction as the aforementioned Gaping Dragon, insatiable hunger. Personality-wise, I would trust this man with my life, but we have to go deeper than that if we're to live together. I don't know if I'll be getting any writ from him, because like, who's gonna hire this guy? You know what? Actually, he could get a remote job. Or we could come up with a business that utilizes his unique traits like hunting or heavy lifting. I know he'll eat all the food in the fridge, and he's most likely a cannibal, so I'm gonna have to find a way to get him unlimited food, or I'm on the chopping block. Another problem would be that I can't have any juicy looking pets like a dog or a cat or a tegu or a horse, maybe a snake, but because his appetite is insatiable, it's almost guaranteed GG's if he sees fresh meat walking around unattended. Honestly, he's low-key my new pet now, so I basically get a dragon as a friend, which negates all of that. If I ever have any ops, they're gonna get a visit from Big Way, and that could be supper for him. Overall, a swell guy with much potential, which is why he's going in A tier. Next up is Mr. Freeze. In this universe, Mr. Freeze is a freaked out SCP-looking guy who has his parents cryogenically frozen. That's the first red flag, because if you did that to your parents, what's to stop him from doing that to me anytime we have an argument? Also, I know he'd have the temperature at like absolute zero, and while I do love the cold, I can't afford my pipes to freeze every day, or for my animals to be taxidermied in real time. I guess you wouldn't need to pay for a fridge, but like, I don't need everything to be completely frozen like a brick. Overall, I don't imagine it'll be a good time with this guy around, and there's not a single reasonable pro I could think of for this freak of nature. F tier. Poison Ivy. Given that this Poison Ivy is a skinny, disgusting zombie creature, you'd imagine its ranking would be quite low, but I think she/it may be very useful for everyday life. You probably can grow any fruit or vegetable, depending on if she can make those type of plants. And she's probably monstrous like that because those labs in Arc M are torturing her and the plants 24/7. So who knows? She might turn into a baddie once she gets free. Also, she can set up plants as home security with like trap plants or whatever, so you don't really need to pay for a security system, and she could probably even create a nice bespoke treehouse with furniture, herbs and spices too, right there. But this is all under the assumption that she doesn't want to kill all humans and stuff. Otherwise, I'd be cooked. I'm also just now realizing that I basically made up all of these pros, and all we've actually seen have been tall, thick trees with faces and a horde of Poison Ivy zombie clones. But honestly, even being able to duplicate herself would be quite useful, since at least chores can go to one of the hundreds of fellas that she's conjured. I'm thinking an A tier in the instance that all of this stuff is possible, but realistically probably B tier, because the plants will attract bugs, and unless the plants have a defense for that, she'll probably get in the way of everyday life. So not too much to deal with, but definitely something you gotta get used to. Clayface. F tier. This thing is like one of the human evolutions from All Tomorrows. He probably can't even hold his form, and I just don't want agonizing human meat blanketing my living quarters. Only saving grace would be if he could maintain a normal, less grotesque form, but for now, F tier. Catwoman. If we look past the eye candy, and trust, there's a lot of it, but keeping our freaky radars in check, living with absolute Catwoman as a roommate would definitely not be as dreamy as you freakazoids would imagine. First off, her ass is not paying you that rent, and if she does, it'll be like a week later at the earliest. She's had a life of living on the streets and trust issues, along with probably stealing to survive, hopping from foster home to foster home, so don't be surprised if you start to find things missing. I will say she would be fun to hang out with because she's quite adventurous, but she also might get you slapped with a trespassing charge, so watch out for that. And speaking of hanging out with her, you may not even see her that often because she'll be out sneaking or doing whatever business she does. The biggest maker or breaker for the deal is that you're going to have to home like 20 cats in the house. No question about that. If you're allergic to cats, or you don't want fur everywhere, or you want to have clean furniture that doesn't have claw marks in them, or you don't want to change 6 litter boxes a day, or if you just don't like cats, then you're done for, bud. I personally like cats, but I think all the hair getting everywhere would drive me nuts. But overall, I'd put her at a B tier because it'll be annoying dealing with her and her shenanigans and all that, but I could definitely get accustomed to it eventually. Next up is Bane. In my opinion, the absolute best character in all of the Absolute universe so far. Bane has made a crazy impression on me, and his ruthless intelligence and actual competence without the venom has been a fresh of breath air when it comes to Bane's portrayal. Honestly, his only other good interpretation was in Batman Arkham Origins.
My vital organs! My vital organs!
But this new Bane has even surpassed that one in my opinion. Enough with the glaze though. How would he rank as a roommate? First off, he's going to be organized and clean due to his military background. His discipline and demeanor show us that he doesn't go back on his word, so you are getting your rent as per the contract demands. Of course, you see the muscles, so he'll be the best gym buddy you could ask for. And he'll probably be really adamant about you realizing your full potential and push you to your absolute limits. Whether you live or die is kind of your fault, but knowing me, I'm definitely surviving.
Man, look at this nigga, man. Get your weak ass up.
He's calm and quiet most of the time, and wouldn't cause any unnecessary trouble for your peace of mind, unless you're being hunted by him, of course. And speaking of that, he'd definitely be off working most of the time anyway. Bane is such a cool and loyal dude that if you ever have beef with anyone, he might just crush their head and get rid of the body on your behalf. The only cons I can imagine are, of course, the illegal occupation he deals in, but that's all out of sight, out of mind, and that he also may be a little too big, even without enhancing the muscles, so anytime he moves, it'll be like the rumbling, but he'll probably pay for any damages that occur, because he's just that good of a guy. But other than that, he's literally the best, and if I could give him a big ol' hug, I would. That's why he's an S tier roommate. And last for the villains that we've seen so far is Absolute Joker. So with all of the freaky stuff we've seen from him now, you'd probably assume I'd rank him super low as a roommate. And you're absolutely right. The guy is absorbing freaking baby life essence into his body. And this is a Joker who never laughs. Like, do you think I'm crazy? I'd never want to get in the vicinity of a creature as devilish as this guy. And if you remember what Bane did to all of Batman's friends and Batman himself, you imagine he would be the LeBron James of evilry. But apparently this Joker is even more demented. Like, there's no universe where I'm looking at his bio on Craigslist or Bumble or wherever people get roommates from, and I'm just like, yeah, this guy I would trust to in my domicile while I slumber. There's just no way. Triple F tier. I'm calling the cops. He was never an option. Although Joker was the last villain, I'll give an honorable mention to Alfred, of course, who's probably just as reliable as our main universe Alfred, But the problem is he's not a butler. He's a mercenary who travels all the time. So it would most likely either not be a long stay with him, or he'd just be around once in a blue moon. He'd be a good person to have as a friend, and he's probably the most normal out of everyone else on this list, only other competition really being Catwoman. But all will be well until one of his jobs lead the Hungarian cartel or something at your door and you get captured and tortured just by associating with him. Otherwise, I would put him in A tier. This concludes the rankings of the absolute Batman rogues as roommates tier list. I believe my reasonings were quite sound and solid, and if you've got any disputes to make, then by all means, I think the comments help my place on the algorithm. I did Absolute Batman because it's my favorite run of the Absolute universe so far, but I can cook up another tier list for something like Absolute Green Lantern or Superman or whatever eventually. Make sure to support the Absolute Batman comics so DC knows that we want more peak, and tell your mother that you love her. Thanks for watching if you made it this far, and goodbye.
Man, look at this nigga, man. Get your weak ass up. Look at that nigga, y'all. It's the dinosaur.